Generally speaking, a HELOC may have a little bit higher interest rate than a mortgage. However, if you know where to look, banks have flooded the market with what's called promo rates. So that's your introductory offers. Just like if you were to get a credit card, it's 0%. It's not 0% forever. It's 0% for a year or a year and a half or maybe 2 years. Same thing applies in the banking industry when it comes to a home equity line of credit. You can get a promo rate that is actually lower than what mortgage rates are, depending on when you got your mortgage rate. If you got a mortgage back in 2021, you may have a 2.5–3% mortgage. In that scenario, I'm not saying replace the entire mortgage. I'm saying get a HELOC on top of that and use it to chunk down to the mortgage, so that way you keep your low rate and you have less exposure. And we'll show you a strategy to pay your home off in an average 5 to 7 years, utilizing the HELOC in second lien position as a chunking strategy. So generally speaking, if you're not doing enough digging and you don't know where to look, you could come up with the assumption that HELOCs have a higher interest rate than mortgages. But if you know where to look, you can find much lower rates than mortgages. On top of that, number two is you asking that question tells me that you're indoctrinated to only think about one thing, and that's interest rate. Now, why do you care so much about interest rate? Because you think that the interest rate dictates how much interest you pay. However, it's not. The interest rate only dictates what your payment is on a monthly basis. What dictates how much interest you're going to pay is time, how long you're going to be paying on that debt, and how much of it, which is balance. Time and balance dictate far more towards how much interest you're going to pay than interest rate. So what we focus on, let's get a liquid, open-end line of credit where we can force all of our income and assets into it, which suppresses the balance, right? So if we reduce the balance, we also reduce interest. But as you reduce the balance and interest, you also reduce the time. So that's how we focus on how much interest we're actually paying versus what the number is that only dictates what our payment is.